Welcome back, guys. I just want to take a second to give everyone a big shout out for all the love the channel's received thus far. Fresh off the press, we have the Discord. So a lot of you expressed interest in a Discord, but are not too sure what it's about. So I'm here to set the record straight. So the Hacking Time membership grants you access to a membership only area within our Discord community where you can interact with like-minded professionals. And make no mistake, although the Flipper Zero is incredible, we discuss broader topics ranging from hacking, Linux, CCNA, Azure, ISO 27001 and cybersecurity in general, for which there is, of course, a monthly fee, as the Heath Ledger's Joker says.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
And on that note, let's go. This is a Flipper Zero, and this is the Esp32 Marauder, and I am the Ace. What do these three things have in common? They all lack a key feature that would make them awesome. A full spectrum analyzer, native Wi-Fi capability, a Bugatti Veyron. Back to the real world. In today's video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can combine the Flipper Zero with the Esp32 Marauder's capability into one wireless abomination, which should fix everything except me, because like Coco said, f me. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Flipper Zero, I strongly advise you watching my earlier videos because I have already covered both theoretical and practical facets of what it's capable of. Now, this video is more for the Flipper Zero's accessory, the WiFi Dev Board, than the Flipper Zero itself. For the Flipper Zero, the Wi-Fi module functions as both a programmer and a debugger. The ST-Link debugger has been replaced. It is based on the open source firmware project Blackmagic and the ESP32 S2 module. It can use Wi-Fi or USB to flash and debug a variety of microprocessors and microcontrollers, including the one found in the Flipper Zero. Additionally, this module has a USB-UART adapter function. On the Wi-Fi module, the GDB server manages program execution on the Flipper Zero processor. On a computer linked to the module via Wi-Fi or USB, the user controls it that way. The serial wire debug interface serves as a conduit for information transfer between the Wi-Fi module and the Flipper Zero. For this, the GPIO pins 12 for serial wire debug IO and 10 for serial clock are used. The first being using USB, the module is connected to the computer using a USB Type-C cable. The system recognizes the device as a COM port. That's very important, I'll talk about that later. 2. Wi-Fi. The module broadcasts its own Wi-Fi network to which the computer can be connected. After connecting to it, you can set up the connection to an existing Wi-Fi network. Another aspect I'll talk more about later. The Esp32 Marauder firmware. Now, I want to give a big shout out to Just Call Me Coco, and I'll never be saying that in any other sentence, who created a fantastic version of the Marauder for the Flipper development board that allows us to command the WiFi Dev Board to perform any function the Marauder already has, but without the use of the touchscreen or the Flipper directional pads. The instructions will be discussed in more detail as we go on. You can find the link to Coco's Marauder GitHub page in the description below. So after we just head over to that page, we can choose two Morpheus choices, should I say. We have the blue pill installation or the red pill installation. Now, I strongly advise you choose the blue pill installation because this is the one that's going to be covered in this video. But if you really don't give a shit, choose the red pill and do some crazy shit. Using the broader OTA firmware, you can install the pre-compiled Marauder Flipper Zero binary onto the WiFi Dev Board using the blue pill installation method. You'll be given a new set of instructions after clicking the Marauder OTA link, and if you haven't already, you must first download the Arduino IDE. Once we go to Arduino's website, we head over to software, and then we can just download the latest version they have on offer for Windows 10 in this case. You can contribute to Arduino if you wish, but in this case, we're just going to download it. Now, once that's downloaded, we can install Arduino. Once that's installed, we can head over to preferences, and then we can go to additional boards managed URLs. Now we open this up and we can paste two additional URLs that support some unofficial board URLs. I'm going to provide these in the link below, not to worry. After we've done that, we can head over to Tools and then Board and Boards Manager. Once we're in Boards Manager, in the search box above, we can paste in or type in ESP32. Here you're going to have one option by Expressive Systems. here we want to install a specific version, which is the 2.0.0 RC1 version. It's very important it is that version. And then we hit install. Now this is going to do its thing and install. Next, what we want to do is plug in the Wi-Fi Dev Board. Now before you do this, I want you to hold down the boot button first, then plug in the USB-C. Hold that for about 3 seconds and then release it. Now this should read onto the machine. If you didn't hold the boot button down, typically this wouldn't show up under the tool set. Now we have done that. We have this new port feature with COM7 available to us. This is in fact the Wi-Fi Dev Board. Next, what we want to do is go to partition scheme and pick minimal spiffs. Now that's done, we can just verify the board version we're using, which would be the Esp32 and the S2 Dev module version. Now that's all set up, we're ready to paste the Marauder code from Coco into Arduino. Now we have that, I can copy and paste all of that in. Now this is all going to be loaded onto our dev board. So to begin the process of loading all of this code onto the dev board, we simply hit the arrow here where it says upload. And now it's compiling the sketch and that's starting to upload the code onto our dev board.
Fast as fuck, boy.
Right, now as we can see, all of that code's been uploaded. You do get this error and this is perfectly normal. It means it did work. I've verified this a few times now, where it says this X is status 1. It's all good. Next, what we want to do is head over to our local Wi-Fi's. Now you can see nothing in here at the minute. And this was a key part of Coco's instruction because it wasn't there. And I was quite confused at one point when doing this, but what you want to do now is head over to the device itself and hit the reset button once. Now you have a Marauder OTA wireless network available to you. So we want to connect to this network. But before we connect to that network, we want to head over to Just Coco's GitHub repo and we want to grab the latest Flipper bin Marauder application. So we'll save that. Alright, now we're connected to the network. We can head over to our basically local IP address for that network. And now we're presented with a login screen. So username, password is admin and admin. Now all we have to do now is load up and then sync the bin file for the Marauder onto the Wi-Fi development board. We can do that by choosing the file that we downloaded, which was that Coco bin file, which was the Esp32 Marauder Flipper bin file. Now that's loaded up, now we just simply click upload.
Fast as fuck, boy.
Now it is advised you give this at least a minute, even once it's done on 100% completion. What you will see on your actual board, it will flash a few different colors, and that just means it's booted in to the board itself. Now that time has elapsed, what you want to do once again is hit the reset button on the module itself. For some reason, a small quirk I've seen when using the Marauder on the Wi-Fi is that I have to hit the reset on the Wi-Fi module every other action, which has become quite annoying, and I hope that can be fixed later on. Next, what you want to do is insert all the pins and align them into your Flipper Zero and connect it on top of the Flipper Zero itself. Then with the USB-C port, connect that back to the Flipper Zero, and the Flipper Zero should be connected to your PC. Now to verify this is connected to the PC, we can go into Device Manager and then go under ports, and then we can see right here we have a USB serial device, COM port 4. Now there's two ways to interface with this. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we can either use the PC, which is the best way to demo it to you, but we can also use it via our Android device. So let's first look at how this can be interfaced within a PC. So if we go into Putty, for those of you who don't know what Putty is, it's essentially a free and open source terminal emulator, serial console and network file transfer application. It's very useful, especially when you're working with network devices or anything that requires SSH, Telnet, or most of the communication protocols. So if we, on the connection type, choose serial, and as we mentioned before, it's on COM port 4. Now this I will show you if you just connected to this as a host and what it looked like. It's not what you would think, but let's connect to it as a host. Now here, you can see it's connected straight to the firmware, the native firmware for the Flipper Zero. So I've got this Flipper Zero command line interface, and then from here you can go to firmware version it's on. I'm on the Roadmaster one, of course. And if we just type help, we can see what we can actually do within this command line interface. But that would be incorrect when we're trying to interface with Marauder. Now, for you to interface with Putty and the Marauder, you're gonna have to do two things. First, go onto the Flipper device itself, and then under GPIO, then we go to USB UART bridge. And now on the board, we want to set a 11520 frequency port. So now if we go into Putty, and then we go into serial, and then we are of course on serial 4, we can set the 11520 frequency and open. Now we have what appears to be a blank screen. And again, I did mention this to Coco directly, but there seems to be a small lag when interfacing with the Wi-Fi Dev Board using Marauder. Now, what I've also seen, if you do get a blank screen, just hit the restart button again on the dev board. And there we have it. So now you can see the ESP32 Marauder version 0917 by Just Call Me Coco. So now at this point, we've successfully installed Marauder onto the Wi-Fi Dev Board. And sky's the limit right now in terms of what we can do. We're Wi-Fi compatible. And if you got this far, congratulations. Next, we want to actually see what we can do. So if you type help, now you can see all the commands available to us. Now note, this doesn't work all the time. And I have to make that quite clear. It's still under development and it's still quite buggy, but let's see what we can do. So the first attack I want to do is the rickroll attack. Now I'm sure you're all familiar with the rickroll or what rickroll is, but in terms of what the Marauder can do with it, it has the ability to transmit specifically crafted Wi-Fi packets. So it essentially releases a rickroll beacon attack. Specifically crafted beacons and frames are transmitted with the lyrics of "Never Gonna Give You Up," and it's displayed across any Wi-Fi devices in close proximity. So the command here we're going to use is attack -T, the type of attack, and then we're going to select a rickroll. So let's do that. So now that's happening. On the physical board itself, you're going to see it's got an evil red light emitting. And if we check our Wi-Fi network, we can see here we got one beacon that successfully come up. Oh, we got another, and another, and another, and another, and another. So this is what the rickroll attack will look like. That's amazing. It's worked first time. Next, that will probably not work in a live demo is I want to de-authenticate my own Wi-Fi network off my network. So I won't hold my breath too much for this, but we shall see if it can be done. So the first thing we want to do is scan the networks around us. That's how we can first ascertain which networks are in vicinity for us to even hone in on. So if we stop that attack by hitting stop scan, and that command essentially tells the Flipper to stop that attack. Next, we want to scan AP. So that scans nearby access points. Now on the Flipper hardware itself, you see a blue light emitting from it. And here we can see all the Wi-Fi's. And it's got a pretty good range because some of these are nowhere near me. I know some of my neighbors might get annoyed by this, but the hell with them. Okay, so I found my network in a huge list of networks that were available to us. I'm going to attempt to de-auth my own network. So I'm on this 4G EE router. So let's start the attack and let's see if I get kicked off this network. Yes, finally we deauthorized the network after at least 50 attempts. I'm not even gonna lie. So I've reset this module about 50 times and finally we have deauthorized it. Marauder on Android. So now that we've completed the Putty installation and testing on the previous section, we can look at how portability can work using relatively the same methodology as we connected using Putty. So to do this, you're going to need an Android device because iPhone just sucks, and head over to the App Store and download Serial USB Terminal app. So that's a yellowish USB icon, and that'll be by Kai Morich. Install that. Now once the application is installed, what you want to do is head over to the navigation on the left and go to settings, and then under serial you want the baud rate to be the same as we set in the previous section, so that'd be 115200. Now once that's put aside and that's set, you plug in again the development board onto the Flipper Zero, and then head over to GPIO, USB UART bridge, and then hit the left directional pad to config. Under baud rate, set it as the same rate as we just set, so that's 115200, and then hit the back button. Now you're all set to connect to the mobile device. What you will need is a two-way male USB-C, so one will plug directly into the Flipper Zero and one will plug directly into the mobile device, like so. Now once that's connected to the phone, you just tap the connection icon right next to the rubbish bin icon on the far right, and just tap it and it will connect. The interface is exactly the same as in Putty, but for the phone, I think it's a little bit faster than within Putty. Once that's connected, you can simply hotkey all the commands directly using the edit macro features. Just to demo this, I will hit a quick scan AP just to show you what it can look like while running. Pretty straightforward. I'm really happy with that. It gives you at least some mobility if you want to do some testing outside of your normal environment. That's it for the mobile section. Next, we have the FZ Marauder Flasher by Guido, who essentially keeps a repo of some good tools that are going around concerning Flipper. It's very quick to install this in comparison to the fully fledged and working Marauder by Coco. So what we want to do is head over to the GitHub repo for Guido Z, and first of all install the zip application that was provided. Right, now we have that zip application, we can extract its contents. And now we have a few files. We have the Marauder bin file, which we already extracted in our previous one, but this comes preloaded, which is quite handy. We have the Blackmagic default repo that comes with the Flipper Wi-Fi board natively. And now we have this flash bin file. What you want to do is hold your finger on the boot button on the board. Do not plug in the USB just yet. Now, plug in the USB into the board and connect it to your PC. Hold that for about 3 seconds. Now let go of the boot button and click the flash.bat. Now you're going to get the protected Windows. That's fine. Go to more info and run it anyway, only because the publisher is unknown in this case. Next, you're going to get this command line prompt with 4 options. If you don't see these options, that means you weren't holding the boot button from the previous step. So now you have 4 options. You have the flash the Marauder, you have update Marauder, which just updates the bin file. In this case, it's the 0917 version, which is already pre-included into the folder. Next, we have the Flipper Blackmagic Wi-Fi settings, which you can save automatically, and then we have to flash to Flipper Blackmagic with the default firmware for the development board. In this case, we want to hit option 1. Now you can see here it's connected to the serial port. It's running through the script. It's uploading the Marauder software, very similar to what we did before, but you're going to see a few differences with this one.
Fast as fuck, boys.
And there we have it. It's been flashed now. So you can disconnect the USB. You can close the window. And then we can insert, once again, the development board onto the flipper. Right, now we're back onto the Qt flipper. We get a few options. Now what I want you to do is navigate to Applications, then GPIO. And now within GPIO, you're going to have this Marauder Wi-Fi application. So we run that. And essentially, it's very similar to what we've had with the Cocoa install, apart from it's all within the flipper. Now we can scan APs, add SSIDs. You can also add it manually, list APs for the access points or list SSIDs. We can select access points or SSIDs, clear a list. We can select attack methodology, de-auth. We can do a probe attack or the rickroll, the three options we saw before. We can beacon span via AP list or SSID lists. We can sniff the packets either through beacon or de-auth. We can sniff PMKID on channel. We can channel via git or set. We could do some display settings. You can update, reboot, and there are some help options. Bearing in mind at this point, I've tested all of these options, and apart from scan AP, which I'll show you right now, this works. All the other options, for some reason, under this firmware set, is not working. So if you want to test again, follow the steps to install it like I just showed you. But to get it actually working and have something to play with and demo yourself, please use the steps from the more extended version delivered by Cocoa. Now, I hope you enjoyed that episode, guys. Obviously, I only kind of scratched the surface in terms of what you can do and unleash the Marauder, but I did want to show you both aspects of what kind of is available out there at the moment. I would highly recommend going for the Cocoa install, which is actually workable. The second install, although looks like it works, I've not got that to work on my flipper at all. Further to that, we looked at the de-authentication methods, the rickroll method, which we kind of demoed earlier. As for saving any of the PCAP files that's been captured within the flipper, there is no way at the minute to save natively to the SD card that I have found. There are certain scripts that you can write remotely, but I'll leave that for another time. The Cocoa script I found was quite intuitive, very simple to use. Although there's a lengthy install process, you can see there's various attack procedures that can occur, and if you were to do some real digging through the GitHub repos, I'm sure you can find some more attack types. Again, if you want to get involved in the community and have a say in the wider community of professional cybersecurity experts, and including additions that I'm adding to the Discord, make sure you subscribe and stay safe in the cyberspace. Peace out.